ExpressVPN is touted as the best VPN service provider by a lot of affiliate marketers. A lot of affiliate marketers usually mention the great download speeds they get after running their speed test with ExpressVPN servers, as well as some of the recent independent audits that have been carried out by companies like KPMG on ExpressVPN servers. But does this mean that now ExpressVPN is the best VPN for your needs, or should you be considering other alternatives? And are these recommendations actually genuine recommendations, or they're incentivized by the great commissions that ExpressVPN usually pay out to affiliates? Well, in this ExpressVPN review, we're going to look at the pros and cons of ExpressVPN in order to decide whether it's the best VPN for your privacy needs online, or whether you should be considering alternatives like NordVPN. So right off the bat, as you can see right here, I'm not impressed by the user interface. In order to connect to a server, we're going to click on the three dots right here, and surprisingly, this is going to launch a new window. One would expect that the normal operation of Windows apps is that once you launch an app, it's going to be retained within that container, so that whenever you're changing your phases, you're changing screens, it's going to be reloaded within that container, right? So that the rest of the screen is left for other apps that are also running, so you're able to see what's running in the background. But for some reason, ExpressVPN does not embrace this kind of design. So if I wanted to change some settings, for example, I'll get the options again opened in a new window. So as you can see, ExpressVPN is just all over the place. This is extremely annoying. Alright, so with regards to connecting to a server, for example, if I wanted to connect to a server, for example, in the United Kingdom, let me just disconnect here first. I'm going to bring that, and when I click on the United States, you realize it doesn't connect to the server yet. So I have to actually double click in order for it to connect to that server. This is less than optimal because that's one more thing I need to do in order to connect to the ExpressVPN servers. Remember, the VPN service providers offer this as a one-click connection, whereby once you click on the location of a server, the VPN app is actually going to connect you to that server without you actually having to double click on it. Alright, so apart from that, let's look at the kind of speeds we're going to get with ExpressVPN. So I'm going to use a popular speed test tool right here. I already ran the test, and you can see we're getting some great page load speeds right there. So we're just going to run it again. I want to connect to the servers that are based in the US so that we can see what speeds we're going to get, because that is what I'd used earlier before I reloaded this page. So let me just reload it again and see what we're going to get with regards to the page load speeds. Alright, so you should always take speed tests with a grain of salt, because there's always a lot that goes on when it comes to running speed tests. It depends on how far you are from the server, the current loads on the server, as well as the loads on your own personal network, because if there's a lot of people accessing your network at the same time, you're going to experience some slower or lower page load speeds. Right, so currently my internet is capped at 20 Mbps according to my internet service provider, so we're expecting to keep at least 80% of my original connection speeds, which means that we're looking for at least 16 Mbps in order to determine whether ExpressVPN is really a fast VPN. Right, so as you can see right here, we already have 17.87, which means I'm already keeping around 90% of my original connection speeds, which is already great. So while this means that ExpressVPN is really fast VPN, this is not anything to write home about, because again, I'm able to get better or even similar speed with an alternative like NordVPN or even Surfshark VPN. Alright, so let's look at what we're going to get in terms of their servers. So currently they have up to over 3,000 servers that are spread out in 94 different countries. So this means that you're going to get a better server distribution. For example, if you wanted to connect to countries in South America or even South Africa, or Africa or even Asia, you're going to get a lot of servers. Remember, other service providers like NordVPN or even Surfshark usually concentrate their servers around North America and Europe, right? So if you want a VPN that's going to give you servers in a few different countries in different parts of the continent, then you should definitely go with the ExpressVPN. Alright, so that means you're going to be able to unblock content on a number of platforms. For example, you'll be able to use it to unblock different content libraries on Netflix, because their IP addresses are really working great. In fact, we can use it to stream one of the popular content libraries in Netflix right now without a problem. Alright, so what I don't find impressive with ExpressVPN is the fact that they don't have an all-in kill switch whereby you're able to actually block all your internet traffic. So as you can see right here, according to ExpressVPN, there's only one way to set up the kill switch. Let me just bring that up. So if you go to General tab right there, there's the kill switch down here under Network Lock, where you can stop all internet traffic if the VPN disconnects unexpectedly. So this is the only option you get with the kill switch. So this is extremely disappointing because sometimes you might disconnect from the server personally or manually unexpectedly or by mistake. Let's say I disconnected from the server, for example, right now, and I try to reload this page. You see that the page is still going to work. The page is still going to load, which is extremely disappointing because one would expect that once you turn on the kill switch, it will block your internet traffic completely so that whenever if you're using it to do any kind of P2P file sharing, for example, remember all the torrenting servers that you connect to usually keep logs of your real IP address, right? So if you want to ensure you are safe on these servers, you want to ensure you are always anonymous by first of all connecting to your VPN and turning on your kill switch. But if you are still running your torrenting server in the background and by mistake you disconnect from the ExpressVPN server, you're going to have your real IP address leaked, which could mean that you could get actually caught or traced if you were torrenting any kind of copyrighted content or you were doing any torrenting on any and you're based in a country that are completely outlaws torrenting. So I don't recommend ExpressVPN if you're going to do any kind of torrenting activities. There's a very high risk right here that your real IP address gets leaked. Alright, so what's worse is that you're also not going to get an ad blocker. So it's common that ad blockers, a lot of premium VPN service providers are providing ad blockers that are going to help you ensure that you're free from ads. Unfortunately, ExpressVPN is not offering this feature. As you can see right here, all the pages that we're visiting are really riddled with ads. If you're going to read an article on Forbes, for example, you see more than half of the screen is occupied by advertising. There's a lot of issues with advertising, including privacy, where they install certain scripts on your computer, which is going to track you online, exhaust your bandwidth if you're accessing the internet from an internet restricted connection. But for some reason, ExpressVPN is not going to provide any kind of ad blocking or even malware tracking, which I find extremely disappointing. You're also not going to get a dedicated IP address. Remember, most of these torrenting servers, most of these shared IP addresses are going to be abused by a lot of people on these servers. So they're going to find their way into a lot of blacklists, especially if you're going to use them to access a sensitive platform like your online banking platform. So some serious VPN users usually want to get a dedicated IP address that they can use to safely connect to this online banking platform or even connect to their work network remotely or even use it to access the remote home camera security feed, but ExpressVPN is not providing any feature at all. What's worse is that it's always a detective measure. It's always really more of a hide and seek kind of situation when you're looking for ExpressVPN pricing. The pricing is never evident on their homepage. So if you've been using the internet for any amount of time, you know that whenever you go to a SaaS website, you're going to look for that tab where it's written as pricing so that you can actually go and check what prices they're offering. But for some reason, ExpressVPN doesn't provide this feature at all. So you'd expect that if you come and click on ExpressVPN right here, you're going to be taken to this pricing page where you're able to actually see the pricing information, but for some reason you're being asked to sign in, which again is extremely annoying. Of course, anyone with have a brain knows that in order for you to log in, there's always that login option button right here top right corner, or you can simply click on my account right here to sign in. But how come that getting the more information about the VPN is taking you to the login page? Sometimes you're able to get it through the other page, but again, that is more of a hit and miss kind of situation because again, I was able to get it, but now when I reload it and go to the order page again, I'm being redirected to the signing page. What's worse is that if you go to if you search on Google for ExpressVPN pricing again, their pricing page does not show up, right? What shows up is a support page, right? Support page showing their pricing. This is not one would expect. Instead, it's other bloggers who are actually writing about ExpressVPN pricing. So again, this is extremely annoying. But what's worse is that their pricing are extremely prohibitive. Right, so as you can see right here, they're going to charge you $12.95 per month, but if you're going to go for a 12-month plan, you're going to pay $838, $832, which again extremely high because this means you're going to pay $100 for your first year, which is really high compared considering $100 can give you more than 2 years with the NordVPN and still keep some pocket change. Right, so I managed to get you some special discount. If you want to get a greater discount where you can pay around $80, be sure to check my link in the description below so that you can go and save some money upfront because you don't really have to pay this much for an ExpressVPN subscription for services that you can actually get for cheaper elsewhere. Alright, what's worse is that currently ExpressVPN only supports up to 5 devices. So this is on the lower side, considering competitors are offering 6 devices, 7 devices, up to 10 devices. Others are even offering unlimited devices like IPVanish and Surfshark. But ExpressVPN is only going to allow you to connect up to 5 devices. So the workaround this is to configure your router so that your router counts as one connection, then you're able to connect an unlimited number of devices. But if you're going to count each connection individually, you only get 5 connections. Alright, so apart from that, you're also going to find that they have a very long and very complicated privacy policy right here. I try to read it every time. It's clear that they're keeping some data they're not keeping. So it's not clear which kind of data they're keeping, right? And considering a lot of people do not read this kind of information, it's really, you're not sure what kind of data is being kept on you, because as you can see right here, they're saying your personal data, which does not include sensitive such as browsing history, DNS queries, or US user link IP addresses retained for a limited period in accordance with the applicable data retention law and for as long as XYZ. So again, they're keeping some logs of you. We're not sure which kind of logs are those, but there have been some kind of audits that have been carried out that actually confirm that they don't keep any user identifiable logs. But again, it's neither here nor there. Right, so it's not clear. So again, this is not a strong point as people try to put it out. I prefer some more clear privacy policies like the one you get from NordVPN, where they actually list what they're not collecting and what they're collecting in a very short document, so that you're able to actually read it through in a few minutes and understand what's going on. So if you were to ask me whether you should actually get an ExpressVPN subscription, I would say no, you should not get an ExpressVPN subscription, because what you're going to get here, you can actually get cheaper. You can actually get elsewhere. But if you must have an ExpressVPN subscription, then use the link in the description below to get some discount off, so you can save some money up front. Once you get your VPN subscription, you're gonna want to see how to configure it so that it can work best for your security needs. I've done a separate video where I show you how to configure your ExpressVPN, so be sure to check the link, check out the video. The link is going to appear somewhere on the screen. Again, if you found this video any useful, please hit the thumbs icon. It motivates me to provide similar content in the future, teaching you about cybersecurity and privacy online.